Hello everyone, welcome to JS Core. I am Krishna Gupta and we are into the topic of one day one answer, that is a daily answer writing initiative. So here today we are having a topic that is dealing with the part of the disaster management. So we'll be directly going to the question. So the question is, the flooding in the urban areas is emerging climate induced disasters. So this is the first key term. Then discuss the causes of this disaster. This is the second key term where we need to highlight the causes, various kind of causes here. Mention the features of two such major floods in the last 2 decades. Okay, this is the third key term. Describe the policies and frameworks. The policies and frameworks, this is the fourth key term, in India that aim at tackling such floods here. So if we look at certain concepts which are related here, which are related to the climate induced disasters, that is the urban flooding. Now, first we need to understand that what is urban flooding. For example, this is an urban area. So in urban area, what we are seeing that there is increased concretization, the presence of soil, it is declining, concretization it is increasing here, the presence of natural soil and natural public areas, it is declining here. Then what we are seeing that this is basically resulting into the hurdles in natural infiltration process. There is a hurdles in the natural infiltration process where we are seeing that the water from the rainfall, it is getting accumulated, and this accumulation of water, it is moving in the form of surface runoff. This surface runoff water, this is basically one of the result of the urban floods. So here in this manner we can understand that how the concretization, the soil removal, other factors are deforestation, then faulty planning of city. The faulty planning of city, it is also one of the issue. Then the administration where the water, the sewages, they are not cleaned up properly in a regular manner. They are resulting into the climate that is resulting into the urban floods. Now in this topic, what we are seeing that the climate induced disasters, they are increasing in the contemporary time. So we need to provide certain causes for this event. So when we look at the causes part, we see that there is inadequate drainage system. Number one, the inadequate drainage system. Basically, climate induced disasters, they are basically resulting from two conditions. First is the variability in monsoon. The variability in monsoon, and second is the flash floods. The variability in monsoon, and second is the flash floods, which is resulting into such conditions. So here what we see that the urban flooding is one phenomena which is being induced, which is being highlighted, which is being increased because of the inducing of the climates. For example, if a cyclone occurs, it results into the high rainfall condition. In the monsoon, we have seen that the variability of monsoon, it is increasing, the rainfall is becoming more erratic in the contemporary time. There are issues of flash floods which are occurring because of the cloudburst conditions. So they are resulting into a disastrous situations here. So when we look at the first cause, that is the inadequate drainage system, We see that the many Indian cities, for example, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kolkata, okay, we can also see Lucknow. These cities, they are not properly planned, which is resulting into a kind of condition where the drainage systems and drainage lines, they are not laid properly, which is resulting into waterlogging. This is resulting into waterlogging conditions. Second condition here we see that is unplanned organization, urbanization. Unplanned urbanization. As we see that majority of the cities, they have developed from the British colonial eras. For example, Mumbai, then Delhi, then Kolkata, Chennai. Okay, so these cities, they were quite unplanned because here the development was from the perception of the Britishers. But after the independence also we see that because the urbanization was increasing in these regions, okay, majority of the opportunities were present in these regions, the urban cities, the cities expanded in a unplanned manner. Because of the unplanned manner, what happened, there was unregulated construction. The unregulated construction occurred. This unregulated construction therefore also resulted in the encroachment on the natural drainage channels, certain wetlands and floodplains, which has exacerbated the flooding risk. For example, the recent floods of Yamuna in New Delhi. This is one of the very good examples. Then we say that the climate change itself is one of the another cause. Climate change in itself is another cause. Here we are seeing at a situation where increased frequency of erratic rainfalls is occurring. Okay, so because the climate is becoming more erratic, the rainfall is becoming more erratic, so the burnt is being felt by the various cities like Mumbai, Chennai. Okay, Patna is one of the cities, Lucknow is one of the cities, recently Nagpur was also one of the cities which have seen uh, a disaster of urban flood with which was majorly climate change induced. Then the fourth part here is the poor waste management. When we look at the poor waste management, we see that the clogged drainage systems due to the plastic waste, the debris, okay, which obstruct the water flow, causing the floods unevenly in the cities during the normal or moderate rainfall events also. So, for example, plastics, debris, sediments, this results into the clogging of drainage system, the clogging of the drainage system, which is exacerbating the climate induced disaster. Then we can see the concretization part, which we have already discussed in this part. The concretization of the surface, it is resulting into what we can say, the surface runoff. The surface runoff condition here, the water is not percolating. The water, it is not percolating in towards the groundwater table. So this is also resulting into the condition where the climate change disaster, it is getting induced. Now these are the factors where we can see that these are the basic causes where we can see the climate induced disaster is taking place. Now we need to discuss certain features of two such major floods in the last 2 decades. So when we talk about last 2 decades, so it is almost around from 2004 to 2004. Okay, so here we can see this two conditions here. So one of the floods which have major impact, it has taken place in Mumbai in the year of 2005. Another flood which has taken place, it has taken place in the region of Chennai in the year of 2015. If we look at other examples, Patna, okay, in the year of 2022. Hyderabad, here also the flood has taken place around in 2020s. Okay. Then apart from this, the cities like Bangalore, here the flood has taken place in the year of 2023. So all these cities are the other cities which have also seen the effects of the urban floods, and this urban floods, it has happened because of the climate change disaster. Okay, so in the year of 2005 we see that the 944 mm of rainfall, it occurred in less than 24 hours. So this number of rainfall, this amount of rainfall, it was a count of a cloudburst. So which has resulted into a condition where the city has received certain large amount of rainfall. So here, because of the poor drainage system, the encroachment of the rivers and lakes, and the poor waste management, it has worsened the situation, and low-lying areas were submerged and collapsing the transportation network. Okay, the public systems were they collapsed, and here the loss of lives was more than 1000 lives were lost. And if we talk in terms of the economic loss, it was more than billions of rupees. Okay, it was almost around 5000 crores. So here we see that it has resulted into a large scale infrastructural loss also, and large scale life losses also. So this is one example of Mumbai in the year of 2005. Next example is the Chennai flood of 2015. Here we see that the rainfall has occurred in this region. So it was almost more than 1000 mm in less than 24 hours, okay, in the year of 2015, which has also resulted into a similar kind of situation because of the poor drainage system, because of the lack of the sewage maintenance, because of the encroachment upon the river region system. It has resulted into high amount of there was a kind of a compounding situation which also occurred here, which has resulted into the Chimbaram Bakkam reservoir, okay, overflooding of Chimbarakam reservoir, which has exacerbated the flood situation. And here also a large number of loss of life have taken place. Almost 500 plus deaths have taken place, and we can see the infrastructural loss. If we look at, it was almost around 20,000 rupees crore, 20,000 crore rupees. So this was the kind of infrastructural loss which has taken place in the region of Chennai. Okay. Now, if we look at the policies and frameworks to tackle the urban flood, we can move ahead here. Policies and frameworks to tackle the urban floods. Here we can give a certain examples. For example, the number one is the National Disaster Management Plan. Okay, this National Disaster Management Plan, it provides basically a framework for disaster risk reduction, emphasizing the need for the urban resilience to floods, It encourages for the flood zoning, risk assessment and the early warning system. Second thing we here can see with respect to the smart cities. Okay, smart cities, what we can see here that this program basically focuses on upgrading infrastructure, okay, the urban infrastructure, including the stormwater drainage and the flood mitigation measures through technological solutions like real-time monitoring and use of artificial intelligence. The rainfall can be predicted and drainage capacity can be assessed with regard to it. Third thing we can see here, the Amrut mission. When we talk about the Amrit mission, it is the Atal mission for rejuvenation and urban transformation. Amrit mission, it aims to improve basic urban infrastructure, including the drainage system, the water supply system, and the sewage network which is present in the city. The mission emphasizes on creating green spaces. This is a quite important part. It emphasizes on the green spaces which are present in the city that are basically acting as water retention. Okay, they will be acting as water retention. Therefore, it will result into the decline in the surface runoff, and it will result into the mitigation of the measures with respect to the urban flooding mechanism. Next thing here we can see that the National Urban Flood Risk Management Guidelines. National Urban Flood Mitigation Guidelines. Here we see that this is being issued by the National Disaster Management Authority, which provides a very comprehensive guidelines and approach to tackle the floods which are occurring in the urban region, then promoting the risk assessment which is taking place in the urban region, proper land use planning and sustainable stormwater management practices which has to be adopted under the National Mission for Urban Mitigation Guidelines. Okay. Apart from this, we also have climate action plans. Okay. So as we see the question, it is emphasizing on the climate change disaster. Therefore, the climate action plan, it is also quite important. So in India, we have the National Action on Climate Change. Okay. So here we can see that the cities like Mumbai, Chennai, they are incorporating the climate adaptation strategies to enhance the resilience to extreme weather conditions where the extreme floods and extreme droughts both are included, but for our perception we are looking for the flooding system. So here we are promoting the part of the upgradation of the drainage systems, the preserving of the wetlands which are acting as the water reservoir, creating the green infrastructure within the cities which will help in retaining the water which will flow, which basically flows in terms of the storm water, or it flows in the form of the surface runoff water. So here we can see that the urban flooding, it is becoming a growing challenge, because uh, in the previous slide we can see that not only Mumbai and Chennai but also Patna, Hyderabad and Bangalore, they are also quite important cities which have seen the urban flooding resulting into the loss of lives, not only loss of lives but also the loss of infrastructures at a very high level. So in the contemporary time, we are seeing that the climate induced flooding, it is increasing in the urban areas. This is basically getting exacerbated because of the unplanned urbanization and the poor infrastructure which is present in the Indian cities. So while India, it is having several frameworks and policies which are working in place, which are implementing, and regular maintenance of the urban infrastructure is also taking place, but sustainable urban planning, public awareness, climate adaptation strategies are also needed to be prioritized so that they can enhance the resiliency towards the urban climate disasters, and we can have a proper sustainable planning for the sustainable urban infrastructure for the future generation. So this is the question, this is the topic where we are looking at the aim of tackling such of the floods. We can look it through the policies and frameworks mechanism here. So guys, this is the question, this is the discussion for the one day one answer, which is basically having the theme of urban flooding in India. Thank you very much. See you in the mentorship session.